All right, we have finished the Scrum theory portion of the Scrum Guide, and we're now talking about the three pillars of empiricism, starting with transparency, then we will talk about inspection, and then adaptation. So let's read what we can learn about transparency. The emergent process and work must be visible to those performing the work as well as those receiving the work. With Scrum, important decisions are based on the perceived state of its three formal artifacts. Artifacts that have low transparency can lead to decisions that diminish value and increase risk. Transparency enables inspection, and inspection without transparency is misleading and wasteful. So, transparency is all about visibility, and visibility means that things are understood by everyone, and there is nothing hidden. Things are visible, there's nothing hiding behind the scenes, and they are understood by all. And what are those two things? It's the emergent process and work. And it's emergent, remember, because we are in the complex domain. More is unknown than known. So as we get into the work and as we get into working together, we are learning as we move along. So an example of a process could be a working agreement. This is not mandated by Scrum, but could be a good practice for your team and for a new team as well, right? So when a new team gets together, they can come up with a minimum working agreement, and that would be the list of what the team agrees to that says, hey, this is how we work together as a team. And that's emergent because as the team matures, things could change, be added, be removed, etc. An example of work that is visible, and this all relates to our three formal artifacts, which are our product backlog, our sprint backlog, and our increments. An example of work that is visible to those performing the work would be our sprint backlog. So every working day, at the daily Scrum, the developers get together and they analyze the sprint backlog and make what they hope is the best decision on how to make progress toward the sprint goal that sprint. And so if the sprint backlog has low transparency, if something is hidden, an example, so a question you could ask at the daily Scrum would be, is there anything on the sprint backlog that you are working on that is not represented on the board? Because if something is hidden, then we may be increasing our risk of not hitting the sprint goal and diminishing the value of our decisions. And an example of those receiving the work is our increment. And our definition of done creates transparency on the quality of our increment, so that those receiving the work know that it is a certain type of quality because the increment that they see hits the definition of done. And if it doesn't hit the definition of done, well, then we don't show them an increment, and we talk about why the team was not able to create a valuable increment this sprint, because the stakeholders, they have a stake in our product, and they can be our allies in removing impediments to creating that increment. So that is the importance of transparency, because we are making important decisions based on what our increment looks like, what our sprint backlog looks like, what our product backlog looks like, so that we can make decisions that maximize our value instead of diminish, and decrease our risk instead of increase it. And that happens because we are inspecting things. Transparency enables inspection, and without transparency, inspection is misleading and wasteful. And so we don't want to be misled, and we don't want to be wasteful, so we ensure transparency. And that's why a Scrum Master really wants to make sure that things are transparent and clear, that we're not hiding things, that things are understood, so that we're not misleading one another or our stakeholders, that we're not wasting things, that we're not diminishing the value of our decisions or increasing risk by the decisions we are making. So that is the importance of transparency. It's so important for a team to be effective at inspecting their work and adapting to make better and better decisions. So hope that helps you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.